Welcome into a bonus edition of the Locked On Knicks podcast. I'm once again joined by Chuck of the Chucking Darts Draft podcast. Today we talk the Knicks' last two picks. Kevin McCullar Jr. Could he be the rare player drafted in the 50s to actually make a dent in the NBA?
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, what's up, guys? You are Locked On Knicks. I want to thank you for making Locked On Knicks your first listen today and every day. We are now available on all platforms, so be sure you hit that subscription button on YouTube and the notification bell to ensure you never miss one over there, and the auto-download function on your favorite podcast platform of choice, so you always have us with you on the go, especially in a week like this. We've done 10 episodes, and especially on a day like today, where maybe you didn't make Locked On Knicks your first listen, at least this episode of Locked On Knicks, because we had an earlier one with Chuck, breaking down the games of Pacom Dadier, why he might be the steal of the 2024 NBA draft. Tyler Kolek might not be quite ready to be the Knicks' backup point guard. We got into all that in episode 1. In this one, we break down the last two picks for the Knicks, Kevin McCullar Jr., Ariel Hukporti, why he could steal Tom Thibodeau's heart. We get into all of it now on Locked On Knicks. What do you think about the next guy? The Knicks got Kevin McCullar Jr., who I know we were talking about on this podcast as someone they could even take at 24 or 25. He took, probably due to injury in some part, pretty precipitous tumble down, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists per game this past year. 57% true shooting. I know his improvement from 3 was a pretty big deal. 33% from 3, 6'5", 6'9" wingspan. Somewhat of a long history with the Knicks kind of eyeing him. He worked out for them 2 years ago. I think when he was still at Texas Tech, if I'm remembering correctly. How much do you buy the shot at this point? Because everything I've gotten is that is sort of the swing skill for him at the end of the day. And if he's just sort of like a fine shooter, like low 30s on decent volume, is that an NBA rotation guy, or is that someone who's either out of the league or just kind of scrapping to stay in the league?
Good question. I think that it's a swing skill. I don't think he'll ever be a good NBA shooter. I mean, that's just the bar just keeps rising so radically as to what that is. But the shot, to me, he understood that he needed to get them up. And the first couple months of the year, he was a first-team All-American, and he was not shy about shooting his threes. He has his weird, lower body kind of scissor kick when he shoots sometimes. Maybe scissor kick's not the right word. Dorothy tap about wanting to go home, Wizard of Oz reference. I'm really swimming here. But it looks strange, but he shot it very confidently and he was shooting it very well. And even if you wanted to do small sample size theater on it, he also was really hitting his free throws through the first several months of the year. I think I measured it because I was talking with Prez on Twitter about this at some point. And he was like 41 for his last 44 free throws or something. Again, this was at some point. To me, the injury concerns are clearly the reason he slipped, and much more the concern. Because that obviously, and I don't want to dedicate too much time on a podcast to it because I'm not a doctor, and it's like, well, if he's hurt, then obviously that's not going to work. But in terms of if the Knicks can get him healthy, he rebounds very well. He's a very good passer. He positions himself on defense very well. He's strong, not a crazy athlete, but more in the, he's not quite McBride level, but he's more in the very tough power-based defender where I'm like, I'm not going to give any ground. I want you to run into me.
In that sense.
I mean, but Josh is special too. Kind of. Josh is more of the blue chip version of that. Again, just as a note.
Right, I'll give you one more Knicks name, Reggie Bullock, that category.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe Reggie. I think that Kevin probably more gifted of an all-around player when he came into the league than Reggie was. But Josh never shoots threes anymore, or shoots them very rarely. In his last year at Villanova before he went to the league, he made 73s. And now we're wondering, can Kevin shoot in the league? And he made 50. So I think when he's on the floor, and he bore a huge burden for Kansas as their best offensive player, best defensive player, clearly. So if you shrink his role, but he retains the willingness to get his shots up, then yes, I think for a pick in the 50s, very good. Like there is a world where he is a multiple contract NBA player for sure. The health is going to matter a whole lot, but someone that will play as hard as Tibbs wants, like that'll all fit. Defense first, that'll all fit. Good at drawing fouls, like comfortable creating contact on drives. Like he can keep stuff moving, and he can be a rotation, like a 7th, 8th man that you're happy about. It's just more about the injury stuff and whether or not he can hold up.
Gotcha. I mean, that's exciting because it was maybe an all-time bad scenario, but we saw how important it is to have 11 through 15 because we were one Alec Burks turned ankle from, all right, Daquan Jeffries, you're starting, buddy. Get out there, game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. All right, last guy the Knicks took, and the guy I admittedly know almost nothing about, Ariel Hukporti, hopefully not butchering his name too bad, 5 points. 6 boards, 1 block a game, playing in Australia this past year, 6'11", 7'2" and a half wingspan. I've heard he is a monster offensive rebounder, which I'm sure had Tom Thibodeau drooling a little bit and maybe just like shoving through a long line of Knicks executives to get to Leon Rose, like grab him by his shirt and say, "You're taking Ariel with his last pick." What are your thoughts on his game? And is there? I know he's someone who was also set back by injury, tearing his Achilles 2 years ago, because I vaguely remember hearing about him a few drafts back. But is he someone with any chance of one day like sticking in the NBA, or was this just sort of like an end of the draft? I'll stay on cue here. Dart Chuck by the Knicks. All right, guys, we're going to be back in just a sec, finishing this one up, talking about Ariel Hukporti and what he brings to the table. That next on Locked On Knicks. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Comparison is a thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. Seriously, if you've ever gone on Instagram and you see your friends are living, it seems like they have it all. They've been everywhere. They're eating all the best food in the world. They have the best jobs. Everything is going perfect in their lives. But in reality, they probably don't have it all together. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, wow.
I think any chance, yes, he has a chance. I forgot that he was in this draft because I haven't watched him in detail since pre-Achilles tear. I did follow him a little bit in the 2021 cycle, and my buddy, who's editor-in-chief at Swish Theory, Matt Powers, Draft Pal, he came on my show like way back in the dark ages and was talking about Ibu Baji and Hukporti and all these other different bigs. He is he is 6'11", 7'2" is not crazy dimensions, but he plays very, very strong, like very physical, very good motor, and the offensive rebound is like clearly there. He also, back in his earlier days, but I think before he was in the NBL, I think he was in some European league, was a bit more precocious, like shooting threes and doing like, that's, I think, why we talked about him, is because you're like, what, this guy's really trying some wild stuff in this league. Is this anything sort of a deal? I don't think any of that's going to follow him to the NBA, but I think he has always stuck out as someone who's going to like play and drop and just play very, very, very hard in drop. Like Adem Bona goes 40th whenever he went Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year to Philadelphia. And Bona's good, and he'll switch more than someone like Hukporti can switch. But when you are when you're a defensive big, basically, I think it is more important to do one thing really, really well than to like maybe project to do a couple other things. I just think you're not going to get that many minutes anyway, so you might as well be very, very good at something a team can count on. And I think Bone is a fine prospect, but like Hukporti's just bigger than him and is probably a better rebounder than him. And so you can, again, imagine as a third big or something like that, again, some sort of minutes eater in the regular season where he might like survive out there. I wouldn't count much on it, but he'll have his moments. And, just like McCullar and Kolek and Dadier, like Knicks fans will love him for his motor, how hard he plays.
All right, the Jericho Sims Norvell Pell Memorial breaking case of emergency giant for Tom Thibodeau. I like the pitch, Chuck. I've loved all your insights. Thank you so much for coming on. Before I let you go, would you mind just telling me one more time what you have coming down the docket? I assume some final thoughts on 2024, maybe some early previews 2025, and where they can find all of that.
Yeah, I'll have my. We're recording this on Friday, the 28th. I'll have my draft review and sort of my big board review because I released it on draft day. I'll have all that stuff probably on Saturday the 29th. My handles at Chucking Darts. My podcast is the same wherever you get your podcast. So I'll have that episode. My write-up is pinned to my profile. I don't know the next. I'm going to Summer League. Maybe I'll do something about that. But this time of year, I usually kick up my draft cycle stuff around the beginning of the college season. So in between now and then, I'll do some more NBA writing, I imagine, I focus on players who are year 3 and younger. So that would now be, I guess, the guys from the 2022 class, Chet, Jabari, Paolo, Jalen Williams, that whole class, Wemby's class, and then this incoming class. So I'll probably do some writing about them and projecting them out between now and then. But yeah. Substack's linked, chuckingdarts.substack.com. But thank you very much, Gavin. This is great. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a blast. Enjoy Summer League. And for everyone tuning in, we will have plenty of coverage coming forward of free agency and whatever else comes down the dock. It doesn't seem like things are getting quiet anytime soon. So follow along at Locked On Knicks.